Dear Florent, your video, My Problem is that I'm afraid to paint, ended just moments ago. Once I wiped the tears away, I found myself here, writing to you. Only the tears that I'm holding back right now can describe how much that video hit home for me. It seems most artists go through that phase of uncertainty, but when I began to paint, it quickly became not only a matter of fear, but hate. Not only was I afraid to paint, my problem was I hated the fact that I felt the need to. I believe this was a reaction to how uncomfortable and small it made me feel, because my confidence was so low, and still is. After years of fighting this need, I reached a point of giving in, but that doesn't mean it all got better. I painted as a hobby for a while to feed the drive, but at the beginning of this year, I decided to take my art more seriously. Now I am painting every day and lined up to show in a gallery in LA next year. On the surface, I truly am happy, simply beyond grateful, but just below lies the turmoil. I still fight with the excuses to not paint, the anxiety with starting a new painting, the fear of ruining it. But what's shaking me to my core is Impostor Syndrome. I don't like calling myself an artist, even though that is what society calls me. I didn't go to art school because of the fear and non-existent confidence. I lack the structure other artists have, at least the artists I look up to. I can watch someone paint, take away information, and I can apply it to make a passable piece. This doesn't mean that I'm good at drawing. This doesn't mean I can paint anything or know how to use other mediums. It doesn't mean I actually know what I'm doing. I feel like I fake it. As soon as someone with any artistic knowledge looks at my work, I feel that they will see right through me. They will see that I'm a fraud, that I don't deserve any recognition. They would look at a painting and be able to point out every single flaw and prove that it is, in fact, hideous. Honestly, I feel like a joke. This is a huge hindrance to my studying, practice, and work because it just fuels those negative feelings that make me say to myself, why try? Why even put in the effort of making a website, making prints? Why make a fool of yourself contacting galleries? Why put in all that work and move forward? Which prompts avoidance, substituting it with mundane, busy work as mentioned in the previous video. I fear that no matter the effort or amount of success, I'll never feel like I deserve the title of artist, and the world will feel the same way about me. I love my work, as if they had their own voices. It's not because I made them, but because they have a life of their own, and the idea of not being able to do them justice, as crazy as it sounds, it breaks my heart, and I suppose that's what all this boils down to. I know you're busy, and if you've made it this far in my letter, I thank you for just giving me the time. If it prompts any thoughts or feedback, it would be greatly appreciated. If not, I thank you for what you do, for sharing your art, for showing other people the world of creation, and for letting strangers, such as myself, come to you as a way of relief and understanding. Take care, Uriel. Dear Uriel, I know it took me a while to respond, but your message was very important to me and I couldn't find enough time to give it a proper response, so I had to wait for a moment of free time. You know, you could have written my own life. I struggled with imposter syndrome as well. In fact, I still do, but I try to turn it into something more productive now. I also feel that whatever I achieve still pales in comparison to others. If there were 1,000 voices praising my work, I would still only hear this one negative comment in the background. It doesn't matter how well I do, I still have that fear that someone would expose me as a fraud. At some point, this feeling was really messing with me, but I've learned how to deal with it. It's actually not that bad to feel that you can never learn enough. The world is full of actual imposters, people who have no competence, no skills, but act as they do. You are a humble and hardworking person. You would never dare call yourself qualified before you're really qualified. It's a pretty rare occurrence. A lot of people are actually ignorant, and yet they think that they're amazing and have nothing to learn. The difference between you and those people is that you know you still have a lot to learn, and you are aware that the person you are today is only a fraction of the person you could be tomorrow. The Oracle of Delphi once revealed that Socrates was the wisest man in Athens, not because he knew everything, but because he knew that he knew nothing. Socrates' approach was mostly to question people and refute their arguments when they were wrong. Ignorance isn't just about not knowing, it's about having certainty of something uncertain and complex. Socrates was a philosopher of discussion, trying to fight ignorance wherever it was. He sure knew that whatever he knew was not enough to comprehend the complexity of the world. And more importantly, he knew that other people knew just as little as he did. That's actually the key if you want to avoid imposter syndrome. Keep in mind that other people are just as fallible as you. You feel that you lack, as you wrote, the structure other artists have. Well, what makes you think that they don't have the same feeling? What makes you think that they have no doubts about what they do? Maybe they've reached the level that they're on in spite of their doubts, not because they have none. Has it ever crossed your mind? You feel that you don't know what you're doing. What makes you think that other artists do? I know I don't. It doesn't stop me from doing it. It seems that it's not stopping you either. That's what makes you an artist. You have to understand that every person determined to improve first needs to feel that they're just not good enough. Because if you feel perfectly satisfied with your current self, you never start learning. You need to understand that feeling incomplete is the trigger for self-improvement. The only problem you have is not imposter syndrome. It's that you seem to be stuck in this transitional stage. That's what it is, a transitional stage. If we want to achieve great things, we have to face imposter syndrome because we are just not good enough for the incredibly difficult art our imagination tells us to make. We are not good enough yet. We need to feel goofy and incapable before we can rise up to the level we aspire to reach. We are not good enough yet, but we are definitely up to the task. We are definitely capable. This feeling, this imposter syndrome, it's your imagination calling for something greater, requiring that you become greater. You feel that you don't deserve to be called an artist because you didn't go to an art school, but I can show you thousands of people who went to an art school and now are not artists. The difference is that you paint every day and not those people who went to an art school. The art school doesn't stick a label on you, testifying that you are a genuine artist. Only the art you make can give you the title of an artist, if you even want to call it a title. It's a very weird title indeed, because it evaporates if you don't make art or if you refuse to show it to anybody. It's true that social status plays a role in imposter syndrome. You're still in an in-between stage. You've decided to dedicate yourself entirely to your art only recently, so it's normal to feel weird about this new status and how people see you. Just remember that only your art makes you an artist, and let society do its thing. If they want to call you an artist, fine. If they want to call you a failure, fine. How many past failures are now considered the greatest masters of their time? We call them the visionaries. How many artists were successful at some point but totally forgotten and irrelevant today? You fear that society will judge you. That's what it does, so let it do its thing. It judges everyone anyway. Some might think that your art is hideous and call you a joke, but before they go, tell them the story they never thought they would hear. If they slap you in the face, simply let them listen to the voice that speaks in your art. It might change someone else's life for the better. Maybe 1,000 people will walk by and find your art hideous, but maybe just one person will resonate with your art, understand the story you want to tell. Only one person. It's your responsibility to make art for this person. You're not allowed to leave the world more ugly and meaningless than it was before you came in. Even if your art is a very small contribution to this immense task, even if it's only beautiful for one person, it's worth it. I'm just going to finish with a personal story because, as I told you, I also struggled with similar issues. It was a couple of months ago, maybe a year. I was trying to find a new approach and rethink my compositions to make them more powerful and emotional. I was basically trying to reinvent myself, but I still wasn't sure about everything and I was severely doubting. I wanted my art to be more true, but I was afraid that people would see through me. I made a post on Patreon that was showing a new painting, but not entirely. I also added the new paintings on my website without spreading the word, just simply an update. Then I received a message by a wonderful woman named Agnieszka. She confirmed that I was on the right track. Here's what she wrote. Dear Florent, having to know how it ended made me dig into your website, and 3 of your paintings made me literally cry. So I have to say that your poetry really works. Not that I'm happy that I made her cry. I'm not that cruel. But I know that the tears came from something deep and meaningful that my art helped reveal. She found some type of truth, poetic truth, in my paintings that simple words couldn't describe. That's what made her cry. She confirmed to me that my art didn't need to be better or more socially acceptable, but simply more true. And whenever I have a doubt, I think about what she said. You will conquer imposter syndrome with your art. Making it better will not help. The key is to make it true. Is your art true? Florent.